you're making notes. This is worrying. Are you from the BBC? Yeah. You just turn around and you look at the sideboard and say, does anybody know the history of the sideboard?
Big hand for David.
Well, thank you very much. I don't need that, I don't. Well, I say I don't need the microphone. We'll see how I go. Can you hear me at the back, ladies? Yes. And we have one rogue man in the audience. There he is. Have you noticed he's sat at the back? He daren't sit at the front. He's ready for a quick exit out the back door. You're a very brave man, you, mister. Now, who came last year? Was it a year ago? Were you here? Yes. You've come back? I mean, is it free? Why are you here? So last year we were romping with your British ancestors. We were romping with the Georgians. Does anybody remember any of the stories I told you? Because I'm relying on the majority of you not remembering, because no offence, it's just that some of the stories kind of cross over. So those of you that have got good memories, if I'm repeating the story, just look like you're really interested. Would you do that? Is something more fun happening next door? I'll just go and have a look. Yeah. Oh my God! That is disgusting. But so you know, if you were here last year, you know that I love questions, and you also know that I come completely unprepared, ladies. There is no practicing. I have no idea what we're going to talk about because I can't be bothered to write a script, madam. Can't be bothered. So you can ask questions. You look like you've got a question. You're big into fashion. We can talk about fashion. We can. You can ask questions, anything you like, about the empire, about... You're making notes. This is worrying. Are you from the BBC? Yeah. Why are you making notes?
Because when I came last year to my first meeting,
yes,
Christine happened to say to me, Dawn, would you like to make notes and then you can do a report?
Oh my God. Well, thank you very much for that.
So I stood and made a poem about the meeting, which I shared at our meeting.
You're not going to recite it now, are you? Because this is my show. Yeah.
Definitely not. I'll save it for another day, but I thought I might do something similar this time.
Okay.
And a lot of it was around what you talked about.
Well, I would hope so, bearing in mind you were making notes on me. It's not all about you, you know, madam. Yeah. Well, will you send me a copy of the poetry?
Well, it depends. I mean, I may have to copyright it first.
Oh, my Lord. Right. Well,
you are the WI.
You are the WI, yes, I know. Well, you've completely thrown me. Right. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kickstart the conversation, which will give you a little bit of time to come up with some questions. And again, anything at all, anything. You've got some, I can see, because I'm also a mind reader. I know about things. So I'm going to start off with something that you're going to initially think is really boring. I know, something you, you might be right, I'm not sure. Something that the empire invented, and it's something that you probably all have at home, and that is a sideboard. Yeah, I know, you think it's going to be boring, don't you? A sideboard. Who has a sideboard at home? Oh, look at all these show-offs. Look at them. They're just implying that they've got big dining rooms and loads of friends. Do you know when the sideboard was invented, ladies? Well, you can guess it was during the time of the British Empire. It was invented in around the 1770s by Robert Adam. You've heard of Robert Adam, the designer. So what people used to have in the dining rooms prior to the sideboard was just a long serving table. And then, because this is the Industrial Revolution, the beginnings of, and reinvention and rethinking things, Robert Adam came up with the sideboard. And it kind of sums up the period beautifully. Because imagine the sideboard at home. You've got this lovely front. It's in mahogany. It's strung in satinwood. The mahogany came from Honduras across the seas. So did the satinwood. Terribly expensive. You pull out the drawer, you've got silver cutlery. Of course you've got silver cutlery. You pull out another drawer, you've got a wine compartment. You'd like that, wouldn't you, madam? A nice wine? Yes, yes. Do you want another one? Are you all right? Yeah, you might need it. Give yourself half an hour. Right. And you've got wine bottles in there, and you've got pots in the other side. But this sums up the period and the British of the time, because my favourite design sideboard is the one with a little cupboard around the side. Tell me, does anybody have a sideboard at home with a little cupboard around the side? No. You need one desperately. You do. You're going to be so envious when you hear about this model of sideboard. You're going to be straight online trying to buy one. Because if the front housed all this glamorous, very expensive wine, food-related paraphernalia. Yes, did I not mention glasses? No. Sorry about that. Yes, glasses as well. What do you think the little side cupboard called a pot cupboard housed? What? A gazunder, a potty. Why on earth in your dining room would you need a potty? A toilet was a mile away. The toilet was outside. Nobody had inside loos. And if you're a Georgian, think about it. There is nothing on television. There's nothing. There's nothing to do. All you can do is entertain and drink copious amounts. You'd love it then. You'd love it. Yeah. And so when you're drinking, you need to go to the loo. Now, if you're having a big party during the Georgian period, you do not want to be going outside. And so you've got a big posh dining room like you ladies with your sideboard and pot cupboard. You also, of course, have a servant or two, don't you? Well, I mean, most of you, I'm assuming. Surely, I've got 3. How many have you got? 4, my God. You'd have a servant. And what they would do is this. When you're about to have a party, the servant would bring into the dining room a privacy screen. You know the kind of thing that you get dressed behind? And they would put the privacy screen in the corner of the room. Remember, you're related to these people. Yeah. She's making notes. She's looking a bit glum, but she's making notes. I'm coming to the punchline. Get ready. Right. So, picture this. What am I talking about?
No, will you tell me when?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I'll give you a signal, right? Yeah. So the privacy screen is now in the dining room. The party gets going. It's a bit cold, a bit chilly and rainy outside. Somebody at the dining table needs to use the facility. So what do? They get up, excuse me for a moment. Off they go behind the privacy screen. The potty is there because the servant has placed it there. They do what they need to do and then back to the dining room table. Right, that's what they do. You should try it. What is wrong with you, honestly? But I'm coming to it. That's not the punchline. And then, periodically, throughout the evening, the servant would go behind the screen, check the contents, pick it up, and come through the dining room to tip it outside. That's what they would do. Then back they would go. But there are accounts, ladies, that I discovered whilst writing my books, and it is in my book, so if it's in there, it must be true, that sometimes, very often, the guests would be so drunk that they couldn't actually stand up. I'm getting there. So, the servant would be instructed to take the potty, crawl under the table, and place it in the perfect position. Then the guest, and by the way, including ladies, would do what they needed to do, and then the servant would remove it, and off he goes. Perfectly normal. We're coming up to it. But as you can imagine, you've got 16 people in a room, 1 potty. You know, the gin is flowing, the wine is flowing, it's in use. And so what do you think they used to do when the potty was in constant use and someone was desperate for a wee and they couldn't get up from the table because they were so drunk? What did they do? A plant pot, close. Think about what you would use on the dining table. What? Terrine? Sorry, is this the voice of experience? Soup bowl would be good. No, ladies, the largest gravy boat on the table. Yes.
Nice shape, that.
Madam, you've just nailed it. She said it's a nice shape. It's the perfect shape. It's the perfect shape. There are accounts of people saying they preferred using the gravy boat because of the... Yeah. Oh, hang on a minute. That was the punchline. You've got it right. So, gravy boat. So there you are. Your DNA is formed from these people. I know, which kind of, I mean, looking around, it kind of makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? When we look around. Yeah.